A river holds secrets older than memory. In the quiet space ahead, we will sit together by its banks and listen to the wisdom it carries. This is a contemplative journey where the flowing water becomes a mirror for life itself, revealing profound lessons on how to move with grace through change, how to stand resilient against adversity, and how to find peace in the very nature of existence. By the end of our time together, you will carry away a new sense of calm and a timeless perspective for navigating your own path. What does it mean to truly listen to the world around you? The path through the woods was a tangle of uncertainty, each step a question without an answer. He found the river not by sight at first, but by a deepening coolness in the air and a distant, steady murmur that seemed to quiet the noise in his own mind. Pushing through a final veil of willow branches, he stood at the edge of everything. The water was a living, shimmering skin of silver and green, endlessly folding over itself. He could hear the low rush of the current, a constant whisper against smooth, dark stones. A gentle breeze carrying the scent of wet earth and old pine touched his face. In that moment, the river was no longer just water. It was a presence vast and patient, an ancient teacher that had witnessed countless seasons turn. It asked for nothing, offered no quick solutions, yet it held a profound silence that seemed ready to speak if only he would learn how to listen. The river's voice was not in words but in motion. It flowed without haste, a continuous, unhurried journey toward a distant sea. It did not strain against its banks or fret over the bends ahead. It simply was in a state of complete and utter presence. This was its first silent lesson. We often live as if the destination is all that matters, rushing through our days in a blur of worry about what comes next or regret for what has already passed. But the river holds no such anxiety. It does not try to be anywhere other than exactly where it is. Watch a leaf caught in its current. It does not struggle. It does not try to steer. It simply turns and dips, carried by a force greater than itself, trusting the flow completely. What if we could learn to do the same, to release our tight grip on the steering wheel of life and allow ourselves to be present for the journey itself? To feel the sun on our skin and the solid ground beneath our feet without constantly peering ahead into the fog of the future or backward at the shadows of the past. The river's greatest wisdom is this simple, profound act of moving without rushing, of being fully in the here and now. The water flowing past your feet in this very moment is already gone. It will never return. This is the river's most fundamental truth, a constant, gentle reminder of impermanence. Look closely. You cannot see the same molecule twice. The shimmering surface is a dance of endless departure and arrival, a celebration of the fleeting instant. We often resist this truth in our own lives. We cling to moments of joy, fearing their end. We hold tightly to relationships, to possessions, to versions of ourselves that have served their purpose, terrified of the emptiness that change might bring. But the river does not mourn the water that has passed. It does not try to hold onto the leaf or the twig. It lets them go with a quiet grace, making space for what comes next. This is not a cold indifference, but a profound acceptance. It understands that to resist the flow is to create only suffering. Think of a season of loss in your own life. Perhaps it was the end of a chapter, a change you did not choose. The river has weathered such transformations for eons. In the height of summer, it may run shallow and quiet, its stones baking in the sun. Then the autumn rains arrive, swelling its banks, carving new channels in the soft earth. It does not complain about the violence of the storm. It uses that energy to reshape its world, to find a new path forward. The boulder that once stood firm in its center may over many winters be rolled downstream, becoming just another smooth stone on its journey. The river teaches us that our own seasons of upheaval are not endings, but necessary recalibrations. They are the forces that carve depth into our character, that clear away the debris of what no longer serves us, and that ultimately guide us toward a wider, more expansive version of ourselves. How might your life feel different if you saw change not as a threat, but as the very current that carries you toward your own becoming? Notice how the river never argues with the stones in its path. It does not stop flowing when it meets a boulder, nor does it turn back in frustration. Instead, it simply finds a way around, over, or through. It presses against the obstacle with a patient, persistent force, and over countless seasons, something remarkable happens. The jagged, resistant rock is slowly worn smooth, its hard edges softened into a gentle curve. The stone itself is transformed, becoming a beautiful, polished part of the riverbed, reflecting the light in a way it never could before. This is the quiet work of resilience. Our own lives are filled with such stones. A difficult conversation, a financial setback, a personal failure, a season of grief. Our first instinct is often to resist, to rage against the unfairness of the obstacle. We see it as a block, a permanent barrier to our happiness, but the river offers a different perspective. What if these challenges are not here to stop us, but to shape us? Think of a time you faced a hardship that felt insurmountable. In the moment, it might have seemed like it would break you. Yet, looking back, you can likely see how it smoothed your own rough edges. It might have taught you a depth of patience you did not know you possessed. It might have forced you to discover a strength that was always there, waiting beneath the surface. A piece of driftwood tossed and turned in the current does not become weaker. It becomes waterlogged, seasoned, and incredibly durable, its grain tightened by the very forces that sought to tear it apart. The river does not remove the stones. It uses them to create music, the soft gurgle and splash that is the soundtrack of its journey. In the same way, our struggles are not interruptions to our life's purpose. They are part of its melody. They carve out depth in our character, teaching us compassion, humility, and a more profound kind of strength. The next time you encounter a stone in your own path, remember the river's timeless practice. It does not fight the rock. It simply continues its flow, trusting that with enough patience and gentle persistence, both the water and the stone will be transformed. Even the most turbulent river has a silent world beneath its churning surface. Up above, the wind might whip the water into a frenzy of whitecaps, and the current might swirl with conflicting eddies. But if you could dive deep past the noise and the commotion, you would find a different reality altogether. Down there, in the cool, dark quiet, the water moves with a slow and certain grace. It is a place of profound stillness, an inner sanctuary untouched by the storm. Our own minds are much the same. We spend our days on the surface, caught in the whirlwind of thoughts, to-do lists, worries, and reactions. This is the turbulence of daily life, a constant state of activity that can leave us feeling scattered and drained. We mistake this busyness for living, forgetting that beneath it all lies a deeper, calmer current. This is your inner truth, a place of quiet knowing that is always present, always steady, no matter what chaos unfolds above. The journey to find this place is one of the most important we can ever take. It begins not by trying to stop the surface waves, but by simply learning to dive beneath them. This is the heart of meditation and self-reflection, not an escape from life, but a deliberate turning inward to touch the stillness that is always there. You do not need a special room or hours of silence. You can start by simply closing your eyes for a few moments and following your breath. Notice the thoughts as they arise, like leaves floating on the surface of a stream. Acknowledge them without judgment, and then gently let them drift on by, bringing your attention back to the anchor of your inhalation and exhalation. With each breath, you are sinking a little deeper below the chatter into the quiet undercurrent of your own being. It is in this stillness that clarity is born. When the surface of your mind is agitated, every decision feels heavy, every problem seems insurmountable. But from the deep, calm center, you can look up at those same challenges and see them with new eyes. The noise fades, and what remains is a sense of purpose that feels less like a thought and more like a knowing. Just as the river's deepest current knows its ultimate destination is the sea, your own inner stillness holds an intuitive understanding of your path. It is the source of your most genuine compassion, your most creative ideas, and your truest strength. The world will always have its storms, and the surface of your life will always know motion. But when you cultivate that connection to the depths below, you carry an unshakable calm within you, a quiet refuge that allows you to navigate any weather with a steady heart and a clear mind. No river is born in isolation. Look upstream, and you will see the smaller streams and creeks, each one a silver thread finding its way down from the high hills, weaving through forests and meadows. One by one, they pour their unique waters into the main channel. A creek carrying the cold, crisp minerals from a mountain spring merges with another that is warm and rich with the silt of a sunlit meadow. Together, they do not dilute each other, they enrich one another, creating a current that is deeper, wider, and far more resilient than any one stream could ever be alone. This is the beautiful, undeniable truth of interconnection. Our own lives are these tributaries. We journey from our own unique sources, shaped by our personal landscapes of experience. It is easy to believe we are traveling a solitary path, that our struggles and triumphs are ours alone to bear, but this is an illusion the river gently corrects. Every person you meet, every relationship you form, every brief encounter or deep bond is a confluence. The friend who offers a listening ear during a difficult time is pouring strength into your current. The stranger whose simple act of kindness lifted your spirits on a gray day has added a new quality to your waters. Even the challenging relationships, the ones that feel like opposing currents, are carving depth into your character, teaching you patience and understanding, just as a stubborn rock reshapes the riverbed. We are constantly being shaped by and shaping the lives around us. This interconnectedness extends far beyond our immediate circle, weaving a vast, living network that mirrors the planet's own ecological systems. A single tree in the forest draws water from the soil and releases it into the air, contributing to the clouds that will eventually rain upon the mountains, feeding the very streams that sustain the river. Nothing exists for itself alone. Your individual journey, with all its unique twists and turns, is not a solitary event. It is a vital contribution to a greater, flowing whole. Your courage inspires another's bravery. Your compassion softens another's heart, which in turn touches a third. We are all part of this endless, flowing exchange, each of us a necessary stream adding to the collective strength and wisdom of the human spirit. The river grows powerful not by hoarding its water, but by welcoming every tributary. In the same way, our own lives find their greatest meaning and resilience not in isolation, but in the graceful, continuous act of connection. Look at the banks that hold the river. They are not rigid walls of concrete, but living, breathing edges of earth and root. They provide a clear channel, a defined space for the water to flow with purpose and direction. Without these banks, the river would not rush toward the sea with such powerful intent. It would spill out into a formless, stagnant marsh, losing its energy and its way. This is the profound role of boundaries in our own lives. They are not barriers built to keep life out, but the very structures that give our energy a meaningful direction. A healthy boundary is not a declaration of isolation, but a clear statement of where you end and the world begins. It is the riverbank that allows the deep current to move forward, protecting the flow from being diluted into a shallow, endless expanse. Think of your time, your energy, and your emotional capacity as the water itself. Without the banks of a clear schedule or the ability to say no, your resources would simply evaporate, spread too thin to nourish any one part of your life deeply. A boundary around your rest, for instance, is not selfishness. It is what ensures you have the strength to be present for others. A boundary around your core values is not inflexibility. It is what keeps your life flowing toward a sea you actually wish to reach. Yet these banks are not made of stone. They are made of soil woven with the roots of willow and sedge. When the spring thaw comes and the floodwaters rise, the river does not shatter against its own edges. It swells, and in its powerful surge, it gently reshapes the banks. It might carve a new curve into a soft bend or deposit silt to build up a low spot. The banks yield just enough to accommodate the extraordinary flow. They are firm in their purpose but flexible in their form. Our own boundaries must possess this same living wisdom. A rigid, unyielding boundary is like a concrete levee. It might hold for a time, but when a true flood of challenge or opportunity comes, it risks a catastrophic failure. It cannot adapt, and so it breaks. But a boundary made of earth and root, one that is clear yet compassionate, can bend with the storms of life. Perhaps you have a boundary around your work life, a clear line between your professional and personal time. Then a family emergency arises. The compassionate thing to do is not to let the boundary vanish, but to gently reshape it for a season, to allow the floodwaters of need to pass through without destroying the channel entirely. You are not abandoning your boundary. You are honoring its true purpose, which is to serve your well-being, not to be a prison. The river's bank is both protector and student, shaped by the very water it guides. In the same way, our wisest boundaries are not set in stone on a single day and left forever unchanged. They are living agreements we have with ourselves and the world, constantly refined by experience, by growth, and by the changing seasons of our lives. They allow us to flow with power and purpose while remaining open to the lessons carried on the flood. The river's surface is a perfect mirror for the world above, yet it tells a story that is not quite true. It captures the brilliant blue of the sky and the stark white of passing clouds, creating a breathtaking image of serene perfection. But this beautiful reflection is an illusion, a shimmering veil that hides the true depth below. Just beneath that polished silver skin lies a world of powerful currents, tangled roots, and smooth, dark stones. The surface shows you only what is on the outside, a fleeting impression that changes with every shift of the wind. We do this constantly in our own lives. We look at the surface of a person, a situation, or even our own reflection, and we believe the image we see. We meet someone who appears always confident and assume their life is without struggle. We see a friend's curated happiness online and mistake it for their entire reality. We judge our own worth based on a single difficult day, seeing only the choppy water and forgetting the steady current that runs deep within us. These surface-level perceptions are like the river's reflection of a stormy sky. The water itself may be calm and clear below, but the surface shows only turbulence and gray. How many times have you mistaken the weather on the surface for the true condition of the soul? The challenge is to learn to see through the reflection. It requires a conscious effort to still our own minds, to let the wind of our quick judgment settle, so we can peer past the dazzling surface into the substantive truth below. This is not about doubting everything we see, but about cultivating a gentle curiosity. When you encounter a person who seems difficult or a situation that feels hopeless, pause for a moment. Acknowledge the surface impression, the initial reflection, and then ask yourself what might be moving in the depths. Perhaps that sharp tone is not a personal attack, but the surface turbulence of a hidden fear or a private grief. Perhaps your own feeling of being stuck is not a permanent state, but merely a logjam of surface thoughts that, with patience, the deeper current will eventually dislodge and carry away. The river does not confuse its reflective surface with its own reality. It knows it is the deep, flowing water, not the sky it temporarily holds. Our work is to make the same distinction in our lives. To recognize that our perceptions, no matter how vivid, are often just reflections, distorted by the angle of our own light and the ripples of our own biases. The real substance, the true meaning, the enduring strength always lies in the depths. When you learn to look beyond the shimmering illusion, you begin to connect with what is real, both in the world around you and within the quiet, constant flow of your own being. Every river knows its final destination is the sea. It does not question this purpose or try to flow uphill to avoid its end. Instead, every bend, every rapid, every quiet pool is part of this singular, graceful movement toward merging with the vast and boundless ocean. This is not a journey of loss, but one of profound fulfillment. The river's ultimate purpose is to contribute its unique waters, gathered from mountain snowmelt and forest springs, to a whole that is infinitely greater than itself. In this final surrender, it does not vanish. It becomes part of the tides, the clouds, the rain that will one day fall again to feed new rivers. Its journey completes a cycle that is both an ending and a continuous beginning. Our own lives flow with this same inevitable current. We often speak of finding our purpose as if it is a hidden treasure, a fixed point we must struggle to reach. But the river suggests something different. Your purpose is not a single destination you arrive at, but the quality of your journey itself. It is the wisdom you carry, the kindness you distribute like water to the dry earth, the unique essence you contribute to the collective whole of humanity. Think of the legacy of a loved one who has passed from this world. You do not remember them for a specific job title or a particular accomplishment. You remember the quality of their presence, the way they made you feel, the values they embodied, their courage, their humor, their compassion. That is their true contribution, the unique water they poured into the great sea. This perspective gently reframes our relationship with our own mortality. The river does not fear its end because it understands it is not truly ending. It is transforming, becoming part of a magnificent and endless continuity. To cling desperately to the riverbank, to resist the final merging, is to miss the point of the entire journey. The beauty is in the letting go, in the trust that our individual existence, however small it may seem, is a vital part of a cosmic story that stretches far beyond our sight. Your life, with all its experiences, is a tributary to this immense ocean. The love you gave, the lessons you learned, the peace you cultivated, these do not disappear. They ripple outward, touching shores you will never see, influencing futures you will never know. And in that final release, in the acceptance of the journey's end, we find not an emptiness but the profound peace of coming home. Between the river's grand lessons, there is a quieter conversation happening at the water's edge. Lean in a little closer, past the steady rush of the current, and you will hear it. A soft rustle as a red-winged blackbird takes flight from the reeds, the gentle plop of a frog entering the water, the almost silent whisper of tall grasses brushing against one another in the breeze. These are the subtle signs, the background murmurs that are so easy to overlook when we are focused only on the river's main flow. They are the perfect metaphor for our own intuition, that quiet inner voice that speaks not in shouts but in gentle whispers and fleeting feelings. We spend so much of our lives listening to the loud, obvious currents of logic, external advice, and societal expectations. We strain to hear a clear directive over the noise, while all the while a more organic, deeply personal guidance is being offered from the edges of our awareness. It is the sudden gut feeling that a certain path is wrong, even when it looks perfect on paper. It is the unexpected memory of a forgotten dream that resurfaces at just the right moment. It is the unexplainable sense of peace that settles over you when you make a choice that aligns with your deepest truth. This intuitive voice does not argue or demand. It simply rustles like the reeds, offering a hint, a nudge, a subtle shift in the emotional weather. Learning to hear it requires us to become still. You cannot listen for a whisper while you are shouting. Start by creating small moments of quiet in your day. It might be during your morning coffee, when you simply gaze out the window for 5 minutes without picking up your phone. It might be on a walk where you let your attention soften from your thoughts and instead tune into the sensory world around you, the feeling of the air on your skin, the sight of light through the leaves. In these pockets of stillness, you are not doing nothing. You are tuning your inner ear to a finer frequency. Another powerful way to cultivate this is through journaling by hand. Let your pen move across the page without a strict agenda. Do not write a to-do list or a structured plan. Instead, write down the fragments, the hunches, the questions that bubble up from that quiet place. You might be surprised by the insights that emerge when you give your intuitive mind a channel to express itself, free from the censorship of your logical brain. The next time you face a decision, big or small, try this. Sit with the options before you. Weigh the practical pros and cons, of course, but then set them aside. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself walking down one path. Notice what happens in your body. Do you feel a sense of expansion, of lightness, of rightness? Or does something tighten, a subtle sense of dread or contraction? Now imagine the other path, which one feels more like coming home. This bodily knowing is often the clearest translation of your intuition. It is not about ignoring reason, but about bringing your whole self, your logic and your deep inner wisdom into the conversation. The rustling in the reeds is always there, a constant, gentle guidance system. The world will always have its loud, rushing currents telling you where to go, but your truest direction often comes from learning to heed the quiet whispers from the shore. The river's voice has been speaking in a language older than words. It has taught us the art of presence, showing us how to flow without rushing, to be exactly where we are. It has revealed the strength of resilience, not as a fight against obstacles, but as a patient, persistent force that smooths sharp edges and carves new depths. It has whispered of our profound interconnectedness, how every life is a tributary enriching the whole, and it has guided us toward purpose, not as a distant finish line, but as the very quality of our journey, a flowing contribution to a vast and boundless sea. These are not separate lessons, but different currents in the same timeless flow. Now the conversation turns to you. Where is the river in your life? It might be an actual stream you can visit, a place where you can sit and listen to the water's steady song. Or it might be the river within you, that deep, quiet current of your own awareness that is always present, always flowing. Carry these contemplations with you. Let them be a lens through which you view your own challenges and joys. The next time you feel rushed, remember the river's unhurried pace. When you meet a stone in your path, recall the water's gentle, transformative persistence. And when the world feels loud, dive beneath the surface to the stillness that waits below. This is an ongoing dialogue, one that deepens with every quiet moment you give it. We would be honored to hear what this journey has stirred in you. In the comments below, share where you find your own sense of flow, your own quiet teacher in the natural world. Your insight might be the very tributary that helps another person find their way, fostering a community where mindful growth flows from one heart to another endlessly.